Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to kick off our presentation today. The focus of our talk is research problem, which is a critical starting point for any project. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore the key aspects of identifying and understanding research problems. I'll give you a brief overview of what we'll cover, including the importance of defining clear problems and the steps to approach them effectively. Let's get started. Let's start by understanding what a research problem really is. Essentially, it's a question that I, as a researcher, want to find an answer to. Or it can be seen as a problem that I need to solve through my research. It's the core issue driving the entire study. Now, a research problem isn't just any random issue. It's something that I, as the investigator, identify as significant and worth exploring. It's an issue or concern that I present in my research, and I also need to justify why this problem matters. This justification helps establish the relevance and importance of my study. Connecting this to the bigger picture, defining a clear research problem is crucial because it guides the entire research process. It shapes my questions, my methodology, and ultimately, the contribution my research aims to make. So, understanding and articulating the research problem is a foundational step in conducting meaningful and impactful research. All right, so let's break down what should be happening versus what is actually happening. First, when we talk about what should be happening, we're referring to the ideal scenario, how processes or systems are meant to function under perfect conditions. This is our goal, the benchmark for success. Then, we look at what is actually happening in reality. Often, there's a gap between these 2 points, and that discrepancy is where problems tend to arise. The key here is to understand these differences clearly because they help us identify areas that need improvement or adjustment. By comparing these two, we can better see where inefficiencies or issues are creeping in. This understanding is crucial for developing effective solutions that bridge the gap between the ideal and the real. Throughout this presentation, we'll explore how recognizing these differences plays a vital role in optimizing our processes and achieving better results. Let's talk about the very first step in the research process, which is the identification and formulation of a research problem. This is crucial because it sets the foundation for everything that follows. Finding the right problem to investigate can really shape the direction and success of your research. Now, I want to emphasize that this phase is often the most challenging and difficult part of the entire process. Why is that? Well, because it requires a lot of critical thinking, creativity, and clarity. You need to pinpoint an issue that is both significant and feasible to study. And of course, it has to align with your overall research goals. So getting this step right is essential, as it influences your methodology, your data collection, and ultimately, your findings. Remember, a well-defined problem is the key to a meaningful and impactful research project. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. When it comes to selecting a research problem, several factors come into play. Your knowledge, skills, and interest in the subject are crucial, as well as your expertise, motivation, and creativity. These elements help shape the direction of your research and ensure that the problem you choose is both meaningful and feasible. A good research study, in fact, requires a significant amount of time and effort just to identify and select the right problem. It's not something you do quickly. It's a process that involves careful consideration and reflection. Initially, many researchers face a common challenge: how to pinpoint, select, and formulate a research problem that is both relevant and manageable. This initial stage can be quite daunting, but it's also essential because a well-chosen problem sets the foundation for a successful study. So remember, the process of choosing your research problem is strategic and deliberate. It's about aligning your interests and skills with a problem that needs solving, setting the stage for meaningful and impactful research. Let's take a closer look at the definition of a dilemma. It's described here as a situation where we don't have an immediate or automatic response, either through instinct or through habits we've previously acquired. In other words, it's a scenario that catches us off guard, where our usual quick reactions just won't suffice. The key point is that in such situations, we need to actively figure out what to do next. It's not something that can be solved by routine or instinct alone. Instead, finding a solution requires investigation, carefully analyzing the problem, gathering information, and then deciding on the best course of action. This concept is really important because it highlights the difference between routine situations, where we can rely on our habits, and complex or unfamiliar situations, where we need to think critically. Recognizing a dilemma allows us to understand that we must pause and assess before acting. Connecting this idea to our overall theme, it emphasizes the importance of problem-solving skills and adaptability in effective decision-making. We often face such dilemmas in real life, and knowing how to approach them is crucial for success. When we talk about a research problem, we're referring to an area of concern where there's a gap in the knowledge base that's necessary for professional practices. In other words, it's like identifying what we don't know yet, but need to understand better to improve how we do things. Now, you might have heard the terms research problem and problem statement used interchangeably, and they are indeed closely related. However, there are important differences between them. The research problem is the broader issue or area of concern, while the problem statement is a specific, clear articulation of that issue, what exactly we plan to investigate. Recognizing this distinction helps us focus our research efforts effectively and ensures that our study addresses a real need within our professional field. Connecting this to the overall theme, understanding these concepts is fundamental because it guides us in formulating meaningful research questions that can truly impact practice. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. Now, let's take a closer look at the components of a research problem. A research problem isn't just a single idea. It consists of 6 key components that help shape and define the study. First is the relevance of the study, which emphasizes why this particular research is important and how it contributes to existing knowledge. Next, we have the title of the study, which should clearly reflect the main focus and scope of the research. Then, there are the operational definitions of the variables. These specify exactly how each variable is measured or identified, ensuring clarity and consistency. The objectives of the study follow, outlining what the researcher aims to achieve or discover through the research. After that, we have the delimitations of the study, which set the boundaries, what's included and what's excluded to keep the scope manageable. Lastly, we consider the scope and limitations, where we recognize the extent of the study and any potential weaknesses or constraints. Understanding these components helps us develop a well-structured research problem that aligns with our overall goals and ensures clarity throughout our investigation. All right, so the first step in any research journey is really identifying the problem. Without a clear problem, it's hard to know what to focus on or where to direct our efforts. Typically, we start by selecting a broad area that interests us or that's relevant to our field. From there, the key is to narrow it down, delimit it, so that it becomes more specific and manageable. The goal is to end up with a single, clear sentence that precisely states what the problem is. This focus statement not only guides the entire research process, but also helps clarify our purpose and objectives. Remember, a well-defined problem is the foundation of a strong research project, and tying this step into the overall presentation theme emphasizes how crucial clarity and precision are from the very beginning. Let's take a closer look at the common sources of research problems. First, personal experience plays a significant role. This is when we notice something in our own lives or work that sparks a question or curiosity. Next, practical experience comes into play, which involves insights gained from real-world activities or operational challenges. Then, we have critical appraisal of literature. This means analyzing existing studies and publications to identify gaps or unresolved issues. It's a way of building on what others have already explored. Additionally, previous research itself can be a valuable source, especially when we see areas that need further investigation or different perspectives. Finally, existing theories provide a foundation for identifying research problems. When theories are tested or challenged, they often reveal new questions or areas for deeper exploration. Overall, these sources are interconnected and help us develop meaningful, relevant research problems that contribute to our field. They remind us to stay curious and attentive to the gaps and opportunities around us. Let's move on to some key factors that influence our decision-making process. First, social issues play a significant role. The societal context, cultural norms, and community pressures can all impact how we approach a problem or a solution. Understanding these social dynamics helps us make more informed and sensitive choices. Next is brainstorming. This is all about generating ideas openly and creatively without immediate judgment. It's a crucial step in exploring all possible options and fostering innovation. Remember, no idea is too small or too wild during this phase. Then we have intuition. Sometimes our gut feelings or instincts guide us, especially when quick decisions are needed or when we lack complete information. Trusting your intuition while balancing it with facts can be very powerful. Folklores are also influential. These traditional stories and beliefs carry cultural wisdom and values that shape perceptions and attitudes. Recognizing these narratives can deepen our understanding of the community or context we're working within. Exposure to field situations is another key point. Seeing things firsthand, experiencing the environment and the real challenges, provides invaluable insights that no report or second-hand account can replace. Lastly, consultation with experts is essential. Engaging with specialists brings in specialized knowledge and different perspectives, helping us refine our approach and avoid potential pitfalls. Together, these factors, social issues, brainstorming, intuition, folklores, field exposure, and expert consultation, form a comprehensive toolkit. They help us navigate complex challenges more effectively, aligning with the overall goal of making informed, culturally sensitive, and practical decisions. This slide doesn't contain enough information. That's why we're moving to the next slide. When we talk about personal experience, what we mean is that our everyday life can be a really valuable source of ideas for research. You see, as researchers, we're constantly observing and reflecting on the things happening around us. These observations can spark questions and help us identify real-world problems worth exploring further. For example, I once noticed a situation where wives of alcoholic husbands were suffering from domestic violence. That personal observation opened up a whole area of potential research topics related to domestic violence against women. It's amazing how many such life experiences can serve as a foundation for developing meaningful research questions. The key point here is that personal experiences are not just incidental. They can be a rich resource for formulating research problems. They help us connect the dots between what we see or experience daily and larger societal issues that need attention. This approach keeps our research grounded in real-life concerns, making it more relevant and impactful. So, in the broader context of research, always pay attention to your daily experiences. They might just be the starting point for a compelling study that addresses important problems in society. Let's talk about practical experience and how it plays a crucial role in nursing. Clinical experience really offers nurses plenty of opportunities to identify problems that need attention. These real-world situations are invaluable because they can serve as a starting point for identifying research problems. For example, imagine a nurse working in a surgical ward who notices that allowing unrestricted visiting hours actually reduces the demand for pain medication among post-operative patients. That's a significant observation, something that could lead to further research to understand why this is happening and how it might improve patient care overall. So, in essence, the clinical experiences we gather in practice can be rich sources of ideas. They help us pinpoint issues worth exploring through research, ultimately advancing our field and improving patient outcomes. This connection between practical experience and research helps us stay grounded in real-world needs while striving for evidence-based improvements. When we critically study books and articles related to our area of interest, including research reports, opinion pieces, and summaries of clinical issues, certain questions naturally come to mind. These questions can arise either subtly, sparking our imagination, or more directly, highlighting gaps or areas that need further exploration. For example, imagine a nurse reading an article about the prevalence of pin site infections in patients with external fixators. As they read, they might realize there's no clear consensus on the best pin site care practices. This kind of insight is really valuable because it can serve as a foundation for formulating new research questions or identifying specific problems that need investigation. So, critical appraisal isn't just about understanding what the literature says. It's about actively engaging with it, questioning it, and using it to guide future research efforts. This process helps us develop a deeper understanding and ensures that our work is grounded in a thorough examination of existing knowledge, ultimately contributing to better clinical practice and research. When we look at previous research, we see that a solid body of knowledge is built on well-conducted research findings. Usually, at the end of these studies, researchers identify problems or gaps, shortcomings in the existing work that suggest areas for further investigation. These gaps become opportunities for new research, helping to advance our understanding. Now, shifting to the role of existing theories, research fundamentally involves both developing new theories and testing those that already exist. When we use an existing theory to shape our research problem, it's important to isolate a specific statement or aspect from that theory to focus on. This helps ensure our research is precise and grounded. Typically, parts of a theory are tested in practical, clinical situations. This means applying theoretical concepts to real-world scenarios to see if they hold true. Testing these theories provides valuable insights and often leads to refining or expanding the theory itself. In essence, theories are a rich source of research problems. By examining and testing them, we can discover new questions or validate important ideas, which ultimately propels the field forward. This interconnected process of theory and research is central to our overall theme of building knowledge systematically. When we talk about social issues, we're referring to contemporary or political concerns that are highly relevant today. Sometimes, these issues can spark ideas for research because they're familiar or particularly pressing. For example, social concerns like HIV/AIDS, female feticide, sexual harassment, domestic violence, and gender equality in healthcare and research are all critical topics. These are not just social issues. They also have significant political implications that directly impact health outcomes. Recognizing these issues helps us understand the broader context in which health research takes place and highlights areas where intervention and change are urgently needed. Ultimately, addressing these social issues is essential for advancing health equity and improving the well-being of communities worldwide. Now, let's talk about brainstorming, which is a really valuable technique when it comes to identifying new research questions. Brainstorming sessions involve having focused, intense discussions among interested professionals in the field. The goal is to generate a wide range of ideas that can help us formulate a solid research problem. Think of it as a collaborative effort where everyone's input matters, and through these discussions, new insights often emerge. For example, you might review current research priorities and then gather with other nurses, researchers, or nursing faculty to brainstorm. This collaborative exchange can reveal interesting study ideas that you might not have considered on your own. Overall, brainstorming is an effective way to spark creativity, leverage diverse perspectives, and ultimately guide us toward meaningful research questions that can advance our field. Let's talk about intuition. Intuitions are often considered valuable sources of knowledge because they can give us quick insights or understandings without extensive analysis. They're also helpful when it comes to identifying new research problems, those ideas that might not be immediately obvious through data alone. It's believed that our reflective mind plays a significant role here. When we step back and think carefully, our mind can generate new ideas or perspectives that lead us to interesting research questions. This process of reflection helps us move beyond surface-level observations and dig deeper into complex issues. So, in the context of research, intuition isn't just a vague feeling. It's a powerful tool that, when combined with reflection, can guide us toward innovative problems worth exploring. This ties into the overall theme of how different cognitive processes contribute to effective research and discovery. Let's talk about folklores for a moment. These are common beliefs that people often accept as true, but they can be either right or wrong. It's interesting because these beliefs are part of traditional culture, and studying them helps us understand how societies think and behave. For example, there's a popular idea that studying right before a test can actually hurt your performance. Many of us feel that it's better to relax and not cram at the last minute. But here's the thing, this is just a belief. Researchers could actually conduct a study to find out if studying just before a test truly impacts scores or not. So, in the bigger picture, this highlights how folklores shape our habits and perceptions, but they also invite us to question and test these beliefs scientifically. This approach ties back to our overall theme of understanding how culture and science intersect in shaping our behaviors. When we talk about exposure to field situations, what we really mean is the variety of experiences researchers encounter when they're out in the real world. These experiences are incredibly valuable because they often spark new ideas for research problems. For example, imagine you're working in the field and you observe a traditional practice used to cure a certain disease. That observation can serve as a foundation for a research problem, questioning its efficacy, understanding how it works, or exploring its cultural significance. This highlights how field exposure isn't just about collecting data. It's also about being attentive to real-world practices and phenomena that can inspire innovative research questions. It's a key part of the overall research process because it helps us connect theoretical knowledge with practical, lived experiences. So, in essence, field situations are a rich source of ideas that can lead to meaningful investigations and contribute to the growth of our understanding. Let's talk about consultations with experts. Experts are individuals who have significant experience in their specific fields. Their insights can often point us toward important problems that need further investigation. When we engage with them, they can help us identify current issues within a discipline that are worth exploring. This can be incredibly valuable because it provides a solid foundation for formulating our research questions. Essentially, consulting with experts helps us ensure that our research is relevant and grounded in real-world challenges. It ties into the overall theme of conducting meaningful and impactful research by leveraging expert knowledge to guide our problem identification process. Let's talk about formulation. This is a crucial step because it sets the foundation for the entire process. When we talk about formulation, we're referring to how we define and structure our problem or project to make it manageable and solvable. It involves breaking down complex issues into smaller, more focused components. This helps us identify the key variables and constraints we need to consider. A good formulation guides our decision-making and ensures we're addressing the right questions. It also helps us communicate clearly with others and align our efforts. Remember, a well-formulated problem is half solved, so investing time here pays off throughout the project. Overall, formulation connects directly to the overall theme of effective problem-solving. It's about clarity, precision, and setting a solid base for successful outcomes.